Hello, everyone. Welcome to Alumni Takeover Week. My name is Lisa Hansinger, and I'm the Associate Director of Counseling and Career Education at the Career Center at St. Joseph's University. Throughout this week, we've invited alumni to join us for conversations about their careers and to give you insight into different career paths and industries and get advice on how to enter and thrive in these fields. Our guest today is Kellie Barnes. Welcome, Kellie.
Thank you.
As an enthusiastic hockey fan myself, I am thrilled to introduce Kellie, who is the manager of growth marketing for the Philadelphia Flyers at Comcast Spectacor. A St. Joseph's University graduate from 2018?
Yep.
Right, 2018. With a degree in sports marketing, Kellie has spent over 6 years driving fan engagement and marketing strategy for the Flyers. From email campaigns to grassroots marketing and major event promotions, she plays a key role in connecting the team with its passionate fan base. I'll have a list of questions I'll be asking you, and then we'll be followed by a question and answer from our listeners. So let's get started. First of all, really a very sincere and genuine welcome to you, Kellie, and appreciation for your time, as we know everybody has a busy workday, especially on St. Patrick's Day. Could you please describe your current role, a little bit about what your responsibilities are, and if there is such a thing, what a typical day might look like for you?
Yeah. I'll give a typical normal day and I'll give a typical game day because they kind of are a little
Awesome.
different. So main responsibilities for me are driving our digital database growth. So our SMS, which is text messages, and our email database. So the more people we get into our databases, the more people we can market to, send out communications to. So my job is really to grow those databases. Along with that, I also handle all of our email marketing strategies. So any type of email we send, from ticket sales related stuff, team news, content, schedule release, anything that comes out through email, I also manage a strategy for that too. And then I have a number of other different digital activations I run. So I know it's popular when you go on a website, you might see put your email in and spin the wheel to see if you get 10% off. So I handle all of those activations we have for the Flyers, as well as any sort of ticket packages. So a day-to-day for me, I would say on a non-game day, it's a lot of building emails and coming up with strategy for future campaigns. So say we're announcing a new ticket package, I might say, okay, here's our email campaign we're going to do. Here's who it's going to go out to. Here's how we're going to try and market it over SMS as well. And then also on a game day, a lot of that kind of relates to the game that night. So I'm sending our game day email out to our fans coming to the game. That includes information such as parking, what time the doors open, if there's any sort of theme night for that game. So I send it out every game day. And then once around 5 o'clock hits on a normal game night, I start to turn to game day mode, which is handling any activations we have. So recently we've been having a lot of ticket packages we've been promoting. So I've been handling and managing the redemptions for those with our game night staff, and really making sure all of our fans are having a great time at the game.
Wow. That's a lot of different angles you're covering.
Yeah.
I'm gonna vary off the script a little just to dig a little deeper into that. So when you say you manage those, where does the direction for the strategy come from? You mentioned the spin wheel with the 10% off, that type of thing. Do you actually develop that as well?
Yeah, so we use a software that really develops the hard coding behind it. But when it comes to the offers we're doing, what people can win, that all comes from me as well as our analytics team. We kind of drive the strategy for that. So if we know that, we have a lot of games coming up, March was a great example. We had 10 home games in March. We were able to offer a special ticket discount for anyone who signed up through some of these promotions, because we knew we had so many games and so much inventory available. Otherwise, we just offer, a chance to win something. Sweepstakes always do really well for us in terms of growing our database. But really kind of depends. But I work with our analytics team really closely on that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'd just like to know the sort of the backstory.
Mhm.
And that's a high level of responsibility too, to be able to look at the big picture and determine what's needed in a given situation such as March. Great. So I saw your major is sports marketing. I'm just curious, did you always want to pursue a career like this? Like, what did you envision? And, was there something special about hockey, or were you kind of open when you majored in sports marketing?
Yeah, I will say when I was applying for colleges, I had no idea what I wanted to do really. And like most college students, I was trying to figure out where my interests lie, as well as like passions and kind of how I could help develop that into a career. I was a cheerleader at St. Joe's. I loved cheering there. And when I was cheering, I felt like being at a basketball game, being behind the scenes, doing all that stuff. I really fell in love with the whole sports production side of things and how so much goes into a typical game day, whether it's college basketball, hockey, football, anything really. So I declared sports marketing when I started at St. Joe's, really from that, and kind of really kind of ran with it. And when I got to my sophomore year in college, I did my first internship in sports with the Flyers, and really that kind of affirmed to me that this was the career I wanted to take. I had so much fun interning, but yeah, it definitely wasn't something I always thought of. But now I get to combine like my creativity with my love for sports and hockey, so it's really fun.
Oh, amazing. I'm so happy. Things really seem to all come together for you. Um, could you talk about something maybe that was either unexpected or surprised you about this job? I mean, you sort of described from the cheerleading experience how you became interested in it, but once you were in like full time, was there anything that was like unexpected?
Yeah, I will say, I've been here now through a couple of different types of seasons, some where the team's been really well, some where the team hasn't performed so well. And for us on the marketing side, like we don't have control over that at all. It's really kind of what the team gives us is what we get. So for me, I was not, what something that surprised me was how creative we have to get, I would say, when the team isn't performing as well as we hope on the ice. Um, I don't want to say it's easier when the team's winning, but in a way it kind of is because, people are naturally talking more about the team. There's more buzz in the market. Media is paying more attention. But a challenge this year we faced was that, the Eagles won a Super Bowl. A lot of eyeballs went to that during hockey season. And trying to get creative in how we can get hockey in front of fans, in front of people thinking about hockey was definitely something I didn't expect. But it's definitely a creative and fun challenge.
Oh, wow. Yeah. You would just think, it's still another season regardless of other sports, but it's interesting how the parallels between those affect what you're doing. So very cool. You mentioned that you got an internship as a sophomore with the Flyers. Could you tell us how that came about and what exactly was your role?
Yeah, so I interned for the Flyers when I started interning as a sophomore in college. My first ever internship, it was basically customer service. So a lot of fan friendly, talking to fans at games, answering basic customer service questions at games. It really taught me a lot about engaging with our fans, talking to our fans. Ended up doing that for 2 semesters and then was brought back as a sales intern for third semester. That was really fun. It's a similar role, a lot of talking to fans, helping prepare for different sales events we have going on at the arena. And then I ended up actually doing 2 additional semesters of internships with a venue management company that at the time was under our umbrella of companies that we worked with. So in that role, I was doing more like business development, a lot of research on venues and how venues operate around the country. So 5 semesters total across, college, which was really, really great experience. When I got out of school, I felt like I was already one of the more experienced people compared to my peers.
Oh, wow. And those, even though that was a separate organization, it was still under the Flyers umbrella?
So under an umbrella, which was I feel like how most people get their jobs and get their internships, is a lot of referrals. It's a lot of this person did a great job for me, she'd be great for you. And really having all those connections in that network helped me, expand on the internships.
Right. It's almost like you were interviewing all those years for
Yeah.
like a full-time role. So speaking of that, could you talk a little bit about um, any interview or networking tips that you picked up along the way? Like, did you recognize that, hey, if I keep doing this, I better put my best foot forward because there could be something next type of thing.
Yeah, I'll say with an interview specifically, and now as somebody who hires and interviews people often, I have a couple tips that I've kind of picked up on the way just from doing so many interviews. I think the biggest thing that people fall short on, especially college students I see when we're interviewing for internships, is asking good questions.
Mm,
What I like to tell people is like, if the interview is set for 30 minutes, the interviewer is probably going to give you 5 to 10 minutes of question time, and you really want to fill that time. I always tell my interns when they're interviewing for other jobs, full-time jobs, that you don't want to cut the interview short. If you get a half hour, you want to use that whole half hour and ask really good questions. One of the things I always tell people too is that if you can ask a question where you can follow up on that answer. So a good question I like to ask is, what would this position be doing in the first 30 days? It's a really good, just like really easy question to ask. It gets the interviewer thinking about the actual job and the description. And then you can always say, oh, I see that you want people to start working on campaigns. I've worked on campaigns in this role. So it gives you a way to kind of affirm what you're talking about. I would say for networking, especially with college students, like attending the networking events. I know St. Joe's does so many. I tried to go to everything I could, no matter if it, pertained to my major necessarily or not, just trying to meet people, network, and also utilize my professors as well, because they have really good connections in the industries that they worked in. So that's always really good too.
yeah, great tips, Kelly. Thank you. I love that about the interview questions too, because if an interview is 30 minutes and it only lasts 17, something didn't go right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think the students recognize as much that they have the ability to extend that, and also illustrate the knowledge that they have about the position by asking those key questions. So, wow, you sound like a great mentor too to some interns.
Thank you.
Very helpful. Um, so shifting gears a little bit, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about the way that the flyers demonstrate a commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, if that's ever something that you're asked to incorporate into your campaigns, or, how does that look, under your responsibilities?
Yeah, it's a huge part of what we do. Growing the game of hockey is one of our core values as the Flowers organization, especially in areas where hockey is not as common. So, hockey is really expensive to play. It's expensive to get ice time, and we recognize that over the past couple of years. So, we've actually been given different grants from the NHL to launch different programs, which has been really fun and exciting. So, we launched a Learn to Play program, which it's discounted. They get a full set of hockey gear for kids, and they're able to learn how to skate, learn the basics of hockey. And we also offer scholarships for that as well. So we're putting these programs into areas where hockey doesn't already exist to try and grow the game of hockey. We found that the more people watching hockey, the more people playing hockey, the more people are actually going to come to games and want to be Flyers fans. So that's a big one that we're a huge part of. We also do a community caravan over the summer where we do different stops at different towns, different pop-ups at different, main streets in different towns around the area, and just trying to get the Flyers brand out and about in the summertime, meeting our fans where they are. We do a big one up down the shore as well. So trying to meet our fans where they are. And then we have a really close partnership with the Ed Center Youth Hockey Foundation, which I've been lucky enough to be a part of through a couple of different mentorships. But they do a really great job of funding scholarships for schools for kids who are in need, and also helping them play hockey. And they offer a number of educational programming as well. So it's been really great to be a part of that. And it really hits all of our campaigns. We do a lot in the community, and we're always trying to amplify that among our marketing campaigns and show our fans all that we're doing.
Amazing. Is Philadelphia, or are the Flyers unique in requesting those grant funds, for the Learn to Play hockey programs?
Yeah, I will say the NHL, they offer grants for a lot of different teams for a lot of different reasons. I will say we've gotten repeat grants on this type of stuff year after year, which is great for us. It shows the program is working. It shows that we have the numbers to back it up. So it's cool that other teams get to do stuff like this as well. But I know for us now, this is consecutive years doing it, which has been great.
Oh, wow, that is great. Um, so a little bit going back to your time at St. Joe's, I'm wondering if you can think back and identify something that you wish someone had told you about your future in in sports marketing, I guess, while you were still in school. In other words, is there something that you would tell someone else who is, aspiring to a career similar to yours?
Yeah, I would say the work is definitely worth it. I remember when I was in school, I was so busy. I felt like all the time with internships, class, cheering, projects, trying to maintain a social life. And I remember it was overwhelming at times, and it was definitely all worth it. I would say too, the habits that I built in college are really the habits that maintain me today, whether it's organization, time management, how I, organize my day with my to-do list and tasks I'm doing. All of that was really built in college. And it was definitely tough, managing class and interning and stuff, but it's the habits that, I still have today that really help me be successful.
Oh, thanks for sharing that. Really impactful. We're reminding students constantly that their babysitting, camp counseling, on-campus participation is all so valuable. But if you remember back that far, it's kind of like, oh no, those don't really count. I'm focused on my future. It's like, no, 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 they all do count.
Yeah.
And they transfer right over into a professional role. So thanks for sharing that. Is there anything you would suggest that students engage in while they're still in college, to help them prepare for, entering, I guess specifically your field, when they graduate?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think getting an internship is probably the number one. And I feel like sometimes people are scared or apprehensive to intern during the semester. Most sports internships, just based on the schedules, are only offered in the fall and the spring because the only sport really in season in the summer is baseball. So a bulk of the internships are available during the school year. I would say, like, definitely try and get into one of those if you can and try and manage it with your schedule. Um, Second thing I would say is a leadership opportunity, whether it's within a club or an organization. Those type of skills, whether you're leading, your sorority or your sports marketing club, that's type of skills that when you get into it on a team, you're leading a project, you're managing a team. So all of those skills are really helpful. And then attending the networking events as well. Like I said, I remember I went to one when I was like a junior in college, met someone who worked for the Phillies who I still talk to this day, who I still
Wow.
bounce ideas off of. So getting in front of people, talking to people, and those are all skills that you need to practice too. So the more
Hmm.
events you go to, the more practice you get, pitching yourself to an employer is really helpful.
Awesome. This is not one of the questions, but I'm just curious, how competitive you feel like the internships are within sports marketing. I guess specifically with the Flyers, you would know what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely competitive, especially because we have a lot of good universities in the Philadelphia area that are all sending us students to try and get these internships. That being said, if you're able to get yourself in front of an employer, in front of an interviewer, I know I do a lot of calls with St. Joe students where now I have their name in the back of my mind when they apply for something. I'm like, oh, I talked to that person, they were great, they stood out to me. So it's competitive, but there's ways you can make yourself stand out.
Yeah, amazing. It sounds like we're saying the same thing from the opposite sides. So it's good to know we're giving them good suggestions. Is there any were there any courses that you took specifically at St. Joe's that you felt helped you prepare you for this job? Either directly or indirectly, even if it wasn't a sports marketing class per se.
Yeah, I would say there's probably two. The digital marketing and sports class definitely helped me. It's kind of what I do day to day now when it comes to campaign building. But I would say outside of that, the business policy class actually was super helpful for me because a lot of times what I'm doing on a day to day basis or a week to week basis is I'm sitting with someone from our finance team who's giving me a budget for our campaign and someone from our sales team who's telling me the goals we have to hit, and working with people from other departments is so key to what we do. So, in policy, when I was working with our finance major who was trying to help us come up with a budget for something, that's really kind of what we do now in a day to day. So that was really helpful, just understanding, what this campaign looks like from a finance lens or a sales lens.
Wow, it's great to be able to make that direct link, to
Mhm.
something that you're actually putting into practice. So hopefully if there's any business majors listening, they will appreciate that that class a little bit more now. Um, do you have any advice? I know we talked a little bit about internships, but any advice to students who think, this would be a job market or professional sports in general might be something that they'd like to pursue? Are there any other avenues besides, getting that initial internship?
Yeah, I would say too, if you can do any sort of like volunteer work, and I don't say like, volunteer internship, but if you can, go to the lacrosse team and say, hey, can I volunteer on some game days? or if you can go to the basketball department and say, hey, can I volunteer and help with this? Any good game day experience is really
Mhm.
beneficial when you apply for either internships or full-time jobs. I think the game day experience is so valuable. If you've worked a game day, whether it's, college or, professional sports, that's all really valuable experience when you're applying and you can speak to it. So any sort of, even if you can volunteer for a day or shadow somebody in a department and see, hey, what are they doing on a day-to-day basis? That's all really helpful too.
Okay. Is that something that, I know college, it's probably readily available. How do professional teams look at that? Either volunteer or shadowing, or do you kind of have to have sort of some previous knowledge of somebody's role and have a personal contact to do that?
Yeah, I would say personal contact, but like for me, like I've had St. Joe's students reach out to me and I'm able to either offer them opportunity or at least talk to them on the phone about it or, give them an hour of my time to kind of answer questions. So no, that's where it comes into building your network. If you have somebody in your network who who can help with that or who can be of, you can reach out to and ask for that, then that's where it kind of comes in. So it's really all comes back to like building your network and, getting your personal brand out there to employers.
Great. Yes, I agree. And would there be any opportunity, or how do you look on those opportunities that might be sort of dotted line related? The game day staff where they're not really doing marketing, but they're ticket sales, or, something that is at least in the field. Is that just
Yeah.
as relevant?
Yeah, I think all that stuff's really relevant. There's a Teamwork Online is a sports specific job board that
Hmm.
every professional team around the country uses. A lot of time they'll post opportunities there as well, even if they're just like, I saw one for the Eagles, they were running like football clinics and it was like day long clinics they needed help with. So all the opportunities are posted there. So keep an eye on that. And you can even set up alerts where it'll email you when there's a new opportunity posted that fits what you're looking for. So definitely getting on there, making a profile is really helpful. That's where we post all of our jobs as well. I would say that's probably a great start too.
Yeah. Yeah, we do refer a lot of students to that, as does the sports marketing department. So hopefully people are looking on there. It seems like a fairly big commitment, I guess is the word I'll use, if you're, you know, setting aside a day to
Mhm.
get that experience where you could be working another job where you have like a more regular schedule. Um, but it seems to be that that's really what it takes to be recognized as a serious candidate.
Mhm.
I'm wondering, if you feel your Jesuit education has had an impact on how you work, or any career decisions that you've made in the past, or how overall how the Jesuit principles have sort of influenced you up until this point.
Yeah, I would say helping others and being a mentor has always been a huge part of my career. I felt like when I was in college at St. Joe's, there were so many alumni who mentored me. And it's something that, as an alumni now, I try and mentor and help as many students as I can. Sports gives you a lot of opportunity to make an impact on other people, make a positive impact. So there's so much that we do with the Flyers, whether it's community events, volunteer work, and I'm really proud of all the stuff that we get to do here just as professionals in sports. We've done a lot of work around Thanksgiving with going to different churches and helping assemble, Thanksgiving packages for people. There's so many volunteer opportunities, and with the Flyers brand and the name, people just get excited, at the logo and they see it. And there's a lot of reach you can have as someone who wants to help others, which I think is really great.
Yeah, amazing. This again, this question isn't on the script, so I'm veering off quite a bit. I'm wondering what a typical career path going forward might look like for someone who has your skill set and also your interest in, obviously, marketing campaigns or digital marketing for a professional sports team. Is there like a trajectory ahead, or, what could that look like for you?
Yeah, I will say one of the unique things with sports is that there's not a, job A, B, C like there is for other industries. a lot of times you're kind of building your own path and creating your own, next step based off what you like. So for me personally, I see myself going into more of the management side of things. So managing a team who's building campaigns, having more, I would say, high level oversight, whereas some people go more into the technical side of it, where it's, you're more of an expert in the actual campaign building itself. But there's a lot of different opportunities here, especially on the marketing side. We work really closely with our communications team, our building operations team, who does all of, like, the booking for the building. So whether it's flyers, games, concerts, family shows. So there's a lot of, like, different paths you can go, whether you want to go in more of the PR side or more of the marketing strategy. For me personally, I kind of see myself going more marketing strategy, but the cool thing with working in sports is that you kind of wear a lot of different hats, so you have experience in a number of different things.
So that marketing strategy, playing that forward, what would like a higher level role look like for someone like you?
Yeah, I think director of marketing, and then leading into a vice president of marketing eventually.
Okay, very good. Very exciting. Would it be a different challenge, or could you, how do I want to say this? Is it a transferable skill to go to, say, baseball, football, or is it just more of the same? Do you know what I'm asking? Like, is that something that you'd want to challenge yourself with, or is it basically the similar role for a different sport?
Yeah, I would say the different leagues have different challenges. Specifically with hockey, it's more like we're trying to grow our game and grow our fan base. Somebody like the NFL, they already have a very wide fan base. So for
Right.
them, it's more like how are they growing globally on a global scale? How are they increasing their international presence? But yeah, the jobs are definitely transferable. Just like some different goals based on the different leagues.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, clearly the Eagles have done that with their international travel, right?
Yeah.
So interesting to hear the backstory. I'm not as familiar with that. So my last question was really about internships, but I think you answered that pretty well. So I'm going to flip to the Q&A and see if anybody has any. I think we were pretty comprehensive in that, but let's see. I do not see any. Trish, I guess we don't have any questions at the moment. Don't see any in there.
No
Okay.
questions, Lisa.
Okay, very good. Can you think of anything else you'd like to add, Kelly, to share with students about, who are interested in this field? Is there anything else last parting words of wisdom if they would like to be pursuing a marketing role with a professional sports team?
Yeah, I would say that anywhere you can get started, there's no bad place to start. If you work really hard, if you, show your managers and your higher ups that you are a valuable part of the organization, they'll find a place for you. And I've told, we had an intern last year who she was awesome. She didn't really want to do exactly what we were doing. Her skill set was more on like social media, video production. But we were able to refer her to another organization where she was hired full time. So anywhere you go, anywhere you start, as long as you are, positive person on the team, doing a really good job, networking amongst your organization, like you will be successful. And I would say don't turn down an internship just because it might not be exactly what you want to do right now. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was 20, 21 years old. And now I'm still trying to figure out what my next step is and growing off of that stuff. So any experience you can get, anywhere you can start is always a good place to start.
Great. Well, while you were answering that, we actually had a question. So I will ask you that, which is, as a student athlete, how were you able to balance your internships with cheerleading?
Yeah, I would say it was definitely challenging. My coach was awesome and she understood my goals and kind of where I wanted to see myself, career wise. And it was hard. Like there were days where I would come from my internship at the Wells Fargo Center. I would drive to practice. I'd eat dinner in the car. I would rush into practice, quickly change, and practice, come home, do homework. Like it was tiring. It was exhausting. At the same time, that's the time of your life when you can do it. At this age now, if I hadn't have that schedule, I probably couldn't manage it as well as I did back then because I was able to kind of keep up with all those things. It was definitely hard, but I'm always been a planner. I plan everything. So if you can properly plan your time, manage your time properly, you'll be able to do it.
Amazing. Yeah, thanks for sharing that glimpse into a day in the life of Kelly in college, because sometimes that's what it takes. You have a goal and you're like, yeah, I'm eating in the car, I'm changing in the car, I'm doing what I need to do to get
Yeah.
there, so, yeah, I really appreciate that. Well, thank you so much. I'd like to ask everyone to join me in thanking you for joining us today, providing such great insight into your sports marketing career with the Flyers. We're definitely very grateful for your time and hope to see you back on Hawk Hill soon.
Thank you.
Um, as a reminder to everyone tuning in, we do have Alumni Takeover Week sessions going on all week. Make sure to check your email for updated schedules. And thanks to everyone who tuned in. Thanks very much, Kelly. Really
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time. And, you are welcome back on Hawk Hill anytime and would love to have you. So thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye.